Hey y'all, welcome to Sweet Tea and Butterflies. Today we're making a haunted barn and a coffin that will go with our creepy tier tray set. So with here I'm taking, and I had printed out a coffin shaped design, and I'm using that. I'm going to trace. I had glued popsicle sticks together, and now I'm tracing that along there, and then I'll cut it out in that coffin shape along where I've traced. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Please, if you like what you see, click the subscribe and the little bell icon so that you get notifications when we upload new videos. If you're a regular follower, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. I really enjoyed making these coffins. I made two of them. We've got two of the tiered tray sets in our shop. I really enjoy taking and fully constructing something. It takes a lot more time, but I find enjoyment in being able to get my creative juices flowing and come up with something completely from scratch. Now we do a lot of, we take a lot of blanks and different pieces and make stuff with those too, or take Dollar Tree items and totally remake them into something else. But this is where I really find a lot of my enjoyment in, just fully constructing something from scratch. Here I was kind of struggling with cutting the shape out. My miter shears have gotten kind of dull, so I had to find that sweet spot to be able to cut, and some of it I had to use just the very tips of them. I didn't have anything else that I could cut through with. It's always fun when you have a certain vision of how you want something to look, and you get sat down to create it and realize that sometimes you got to get creative in your method for getting the job done, and that's what I've done here. Just kind of fighting with the pieces to get them cut. Here you can see that I finally have that perfect shape there that I wanted. Now I'm working on getting the second piece cut out, and there we have them both. One will be the top, one will be the bottom. I'm going to take some of the tumbling tower blocks to build the sides of the coffin with. I wasn't sure if they were going to work at that point, but I pulled some out and played around with it and found a way to make it work. As you can see here, I'm laying out gluing down the different pieces of the tumbling tower blocks there, making the sides of the coffin, using Gorilla Wood glue. I like to use the wood glue with the raw wood because it creates a better bond if you're using wood on wood instead of, you know, painted wood. It doesn't create that molecular bond in there. Now I'm trying to figure out exactly what to use on the two ends there. Actually, no, I'm sanding the top of it first. Then you'll see, you know, I've got to figure out what to use to close up those two ends. I had a vision when I started this project. I wanted to do something like one of a little mini skeleton hand or something, you know, poking out of the coffin, but the time of year where I had started doing this, nobody had any kind of Halloween stuff out, much less something small like that I could put in there. So I just kind of had to rethink it and use it in a manner, or, you know, look at it as a manner of it could go on a tiered tray and somebody could put whatever they want in it. So that's what I did. Here I'm cutting down the piece that I sized to fit on the end of that to close up that hole. Again, using the Gorilla Glue. When I started making these coffins and several of the other pieces that we had done, I had realized, you know, that was the point where I'd realized that I didn't have a whole lot of Halloween decor in our shop, so we decided we needed to focus on a little bit of Halloween decor. So between me and Dee Dee, we came up with different ideas, made a few, you know, really cute pieces for Halloween. A lot of it's focusing on tiered tray size decor. As you can see here, I craft on my lap. A lot of times my son and daughter-in-law were living in my craft space, so I had to get creative and craft, you know, find a place. I don't have any place in the house really to spread out and craft, so I'll pick a project and grab all the necessary things that I need for it and just sit down and craft while I'm watching TV. Here is where I'm starting to paint the coffin. You can see right above my little paint tray there that I've got a little witch's broom that I made while I was waiting for stuff to dry. I didn't get the footage of making that, so, but those are really fun little things. I had fun making them. I don't know how many I made, several of them, I think. but those I made to go in a different tiered tray set that was more witch themed. So I started out painting these black. I painted them inside and out. I think I only did one coat. I may have done 2 coats on it. I apologize for having been a little out of the frame there. Don't always pay close attention when I'm crafting and putting stuff together. I just go with the flow. So sometimes I gotta get certain angles with what I'm painting or putting together, and I don't pay attention to where the camera sits on that. Here I'm painting the top. I'd cut out some of the, you don't need to watch me do a full paint job on this. So I cut out some of that. So I'm trying to get in the little nooks and crannies there, because when you glue all those pieces together, it's not perfect, and well, it's, you know, it's handmade, it's crafted, so I don't want it to be perfect. I wanted it to look old and, you know, like a coffin that had been dug up, kind of creepy looking. So imperfections are okay with this. It's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I'm trying to get all the little nooks and crannies with the black paint. So let me know what one of your favorite things to craft is. Leave it in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys enjoy crafting, or, you know, enjoy purchasing if you don't like to craft but you like to purchase from handmade sellers. If we would be thrilled if you would give us a thumbs up. That'll help our videos in the algorithm there. So part of giving the coffin an old, beat up, weathered look, I decided to take some, looks like I started out with the elephant Waverly chalk paint, dry brushing it, and I guess I decided I didn't like that, because here in a minute I'm gonna switch to white. I'm not sure why I switched to white instead of the gray. Maybe it was probably because the white pops a little bit more, gives it a more contrast than the gray was. I just went over the top, both sides of the top of the coffin, and inside out and everything for the bottom part of the coffin with the white chalk paint, doing a lot of dry brushing. This I like the effects that you can get from just playing with your paints and playing with different techniques when you're painting. As I had said, you know, I made 2 of these, so when I got done painting, I was playing with each of the tops to see which one fit that particular coffin best. Always got to make sure I clean out my brush really good. My original idea was to put this printable that I had printed out and used. I used it for the template to cut out the wood and stuff, but originally I was going to put that on the top of the coffin and decided against it. Instead, I took and went and grabbed one of my little cross charms and put that on there, painted it and distressed it with chalk paint. And here's where I started on the haunted barns. I started out with the Waverly elephant. Did that as the base. With this particular one, I did several layers of colors dry brushed on. I wanted a really old rustic look to the barn. This is when, you know, I hadn't done a whole lot with dry brushing or played around with that technique prior to doing these Halloween pieces, and I just kind of went nuts with it. I did a layer of the gray, did it all, you know, painted the whole barn that, and then I went over with white and red and more white with the dry brushing, and then I sanded it to kind of smooth it all out, and ended up with a really unique look to it. And as you can see, I'm working on 2 of the barns, so I've cut out a lot of footage between. You didn't need to watch me do the techniques on, you know, painting both of the barns, but here I am laying down the white dry brushing on. It looks like the second one. I had done already dry brushed the first one. And I just, you know, go over it, do a little here, a little there. Did both sides of it that with the dry brushing, front, back, and along the edges as well. And here's where I pulled out the red. I was using Waverly's Crimson for this. As you can see, I just did a light dry brushing of it on there. Kind of had a vision in my head and was trying to bring it to life. Got a little bit heavier in some areas with the paint. That's okay. I ended up going over with the red with 2 coats of it. Here I'm working on the second barn, doing the same technique. Now here's where I went over a second coat of red on there. I think I wanted the red to pop a little bit more than it was. Let me know what you think about these projects. You know, give us a comment. Let us know which one's your favorite. Do you like the coffin? Do you like the barn better? Do you like them both equally? And here I'm going over again with the white to give it a more distressed look. That way and sanding it to blend them all together. Had I left just the single coat of red before I did this process, it would have been a lighter, the red wouldn't have popped as much, so that's why I put the second coat of red on there. So here I'm doing the framework for the door, the barn door. What I'm doing is taking my cutters, and I didn't want a clean edge on the ends. I wanted them jagged to look like an old jagged sign. So I'm using my cutters there to kind of go in and cut some areas out to give it a more jagged look on there. Just framing out, to frame out the door. I also did that, cut pieces like that for the sign thing. I've created a sign that said haunted barn and to add to it, so I did that with those two. I painted the barn door framework white, and then I went over it with antiquing wax to age it and make it look old. Here I am just painting and making sure I get all the little edges and all of that in there. Now I'm framing out the roof of the barn with white. I lost the footage where I had used some of the Waverly antiquing wax to kind of age that, distress it and age it as well, so that it blended in with the rest of the project. And here's where I'm aging the barn door framework and the pieces that I'm going to use for the little sign. Just use a little bit of the antiquing wax and go over it lightly or as heavy as you want. It's all in the taste that you like. Now I'm just trying to get the placement and how I want to put it, attach it. I took and angled the sides to make it look like it was kind of falling apart. I didn't want it to look perfect. I wanted it to look old and like it was falling apart and just kind of hanging there. So I took and kind of spaced it out, played with it a little bit, and once I figured out how I wanted it, I went in there and traced with a pencil, so that, because I didn't want the back of it, I wanted it to be dark looking as you're looking through the door. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm painting the black there where it looked like you're looking into a dark barn. And the original, I think I finally found a ghost to put in it, but I didn't have one at the time of doing this. Again, I was working on Halloween before any place had any of their Halloween stuff out, so I can't remember if I found ghosts or if I made ghosts with clay. I think I made them with the clay. So now I'm putting all the pieces on the front for the barn door and the little haunted barn sign. Like I said, I angled the sides to make it look like it's kind of falling apart. It was kind of the best concept I could come up with at the time. I'm sure probably figure something else out, you know, and get more creative with how I do it, but this was what I came up with at the time, and it works. Trying to get a little bit of I think I got sloppy with the glue, which is not hard to do with the wood glue. It kind of oozes some. Here I'm putting on the haunted barn sign. And there you have it. Finished all but the ghost in the doorway. That I added later. So thank you all for taking the time to watch. Give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the little bell so that you don't miss